Welcome back to the channel, dear listeners. Tonight, we dive into a tale that touches on family dynamics, cultural clashes, and the explosive drama that ensued when wedding plans went awry. The story is titled My Fiancé Demanded My Sister Stop Using Skin Brightening Cream for Our Wedding, and the family drama exploded. This is a story that will keep you on the edge of your seat as we unravel the events that turned a joyful occasion into a battleground of emotions and beliefs. So, sit back, relax, and let's begin. My fiancée doesn't like skin brightening cream. She never uses it, but she also doesn't usually say anything about other people using it either. So I was surprised when she told me she didn't want my sister to use it for our wedding and asked me to convey the message. My sister always uses skin brightening cream for any big event, especially if she's photographed, so I know she's planning on doing so for our wedding. My fiancée said she hates skin brightening cream and doesn't want the use of it immortalized in our wedding photos. She said my sister should understand because this is a small family event and the photos will only be seen by our close family and us. She said it's not unusual for brides to have requests about the wedding party's look. She would know better than me, so I agreed. Asking my sister didn't go over well. My sister was furious and said I had no say over her skincare routine. She said she'd use whatever products she wanted and if my fiancé had a problem with that, she could uninvite her. My fiancé said fine, but then my sister won't be a part of the wedding party or in the photos. My mom and sister are furious about this decision and don't want to work with me at all, telling me to get my wife under control because she's being ridiculous. I would think my sister would want to make us happy on our special day and be willing to compromise, but did I ask for too much? Clarification: the cream changes your skin so that you look fair, more like a white person than a brown one. It isn't makeup. It fades over time, so you need to keep applying it and it can make you sick. My fiancé hates it because she's seen it give friends and relatives skin conditions and other illnesses and because women who use it say women who don't are ugly. My fiancé thinks we should be proud of our brown skin because our race has accomplished so many things. That's why she didn't want its obvious use in our photos. My fiancé wants my sister to not use it for a month. You are the idiot. Your fiancé sounds incredibly unreasonable and controlling here. Is this the only thing she's been like this over? Assuming your sister isn't painting her face like a straight-up clown. It's none of your fiancé's business what she puts on her skin. The amount of insecurity it takes to avoid being outshone in photos is incredible. You need to spend some time reflecting on whether you want to deal with this long term. Right? Like I assume skin brightening works similarly to a spray tan. I do a spray tan all the time before big events, especially when I'm going to be photographed. It would be weird and unreasonable if someone didn't want me to for what appears to be no logical reason. You're the idiot, OP. Not only for agreeing with your fiancé's unreasonable request, but also because of your last sentence. I would think my sister would want to make us happy on our special day. Full stop. That's manipulative. Disagree. I think OP needs to make it really clear that when you're saying a skin brightening cream, you mean a fairness cream. I think that really changes the concept because it involves colorism. I hope you don't mind me asking, but are you South Asian? I am, and I know the craze around fairness creams. Like Fair and Lovely, and the culture surrounding lightening your skin is poignant and gross. I see why it makes your wife uncomfortable to have people bleach their skin around her. Generally, but especially if she's a darker skin tone herself. With the context, I think not the idiot. Sister's not saying she thinks brown people are ugly by using this cream. If anything, she's just saying she doesn't like how she looks and wants to change herself. If a natural brunette lady dyes her hair because she doesn't like herself brunette, that's not some huge message that she thinks all brunettes are ugly. I'm going to treat this as any other moral choice, e.g. veganism. It's one thing to choose a life for yourself and another to force it on others. OP, you are the idiot. Update: after talking to my fiancé, we've decided to just uninvite my sister. Her beliefs are our own and not really any of our business. But why would we want someone who thinks women who look like my fiancé are ugly to be at our wedding? It just doesn't make sense. I always saw it as a personal choice, but it's more than that. By using that cream, my sister's saying to the world that she thinks brown women are ugly. And while that's sad for her because she is one, it isn't my fiancé's problem to deal with. So we just won't have her there. No one should be told on their wedding day that they're ugly. I was with my ex for about 7 years, never married, and we lived together for the last 4. We broke up 3 years ago. She has a 21-year-old son, Shane, who's now going to college in a town I've since moved to that his parents don't live in, about a 6 hours drive. We've moderately kept in touch since the breakup, mostly just when he reaches out to me. I would have preferred a clean break from both him and his mom, but I have a hard time totally shutting people out. I've not seen Shane in person since he was 18. Anyway, I got married last year and welcomed my first child a few months ago. This will be my first Christmas with my wife and child. Shane was going to visit where his mom lives now for Christmas, but due to a pending storm, it's uncertain if he will be able to travel there. He called me last night and asked if he could spend Christmas with me. I definitely got caught off guard and told him while it was good to hear from him, it'll be my first Christmas as a whole family and I would prefer to keep it to just us and maybe her parents who will stop by later. Shane was very upset and told me I was replacing him. I tried to reason with him that this happens when adults move on. I said we could still keep in touch, but I wanted Christmas just with my family since it's our first one. He hung up and then later sent me a long text saying some not super nice things. My wife is glad I said no, but at the same time says she empathizes with how he feels and I should apologize but not necessarily have him over. But she would support me if that's what I want. Am I the idiot for not wanting him to come over for Christmas? Edit. Shane's father is active in his life. He's just out of town. I had only met Shane a few times until he moved in during his high school years. He was very active in sports and extracurriculars, so he wasn't actually home that much for us to spend time together. Their moving in was supposed to be temporary after his mom got laid off and it dragged into their staying longer. His mother was very adamant that Shane had a father and she didn't want me to attempt to parent her kid. While he lived at my house, he was basically an adult roommate. We got along well, but it was never a father-son type relationship. Yikes, dude. You are the idiot. He was your stepkid for basically 7 years. He's stranded for Christmas. Would it seriously hurt you if he came for Christmas? I'm grossed out by this, not gonna lie. If virtually anyone with whom I have a stable relationship asked if they could come to my house for Christmas, I would say yes because it's Christmas. So you're obligated to keep in touch with someone for the rest of your life? Just because you were around for their formative years? I think it's highly inappropriate to keep in touch with the children of your exes, especially if you don't have an emotional attachment to them. You can't keep staying in their lives just to spare their feelings. Opie has his own feelings and the feelings of his own family. The young man mentioned in the story has a father, so it's not even like Opie was his only father figure. Disagree. Opie's an idiot. You either make a clean break or you let him be part of the family. You basically choose neither, and this is why you have this issue. You should have told him you were no longer a part of the family as soon as you signed those divorce papers. It still would have hurt a lot, but that's the proper way of doing things. Not just because it's inconvenient for you now. The only good thing is he's an adult now and this will give you the clean break you wanted. Even if it was the absolute worst way to do it. I, 24, female, live with my girlfriend, 25, and a roommate, 23, female. We share a 2-bedroom apartment and have lived together for 2 years now. Up until now, we've gotten along pretty well. My roommate has an elderly cat. The cat is honestly kind of mean. She doesn't like my girlfriend or me and will run away if we try to pet her or pick her up. So we just avoid each other. My roommate asked if we had cats before moving in because she said her cat doesn't like other cats. We didn't have any pets at the time, so it worked out. However, we did tell her that we might want one someday, to which she said we have to revisit the issue if it came up. Well, my girlfriend and I have gotten to a place where we really want our own pet. We saw a kitten at the shelter and fell in love with him. We got the okay from the landlord and brought him home last week. His name is Banana Pudding. Our roommate is furious with us. She told us that we were aware that her cat doesn't like other cats. I told her honestly that it was unfair of us to tiptoe around her cat and that we were allowed to have our own pets as long as the landlord was okay with it, which he is. She couldn't expect us to never get a pet or to cater to her cat's needs 24/7. The conversation ended there. Unfortunately, things have escalated because her cat hisses and swats at banana pudding just for existing. She's honestly pretty aggressive, which is a big issue in my opinion. Our kitten is very friendly and sweet and causes no problems. We asked our roommate to keep her cat in her bedroom since she's elderly and aggressive. She refused and hasn't been speaking to us. She says we're huge idiots and even got some mutual friends to take her side. If her cat is so aggressive and uncomfortable, it's her responsibility to live alone. It's gotten so bad that my girlfriend is crying and considering taking the kitten back to the shelter. Here I am to get an outside perspective because I don't know what to think now. Am I the idiot? You are the idiot. You can't just show up with a kitten and be all, your cat has to stay in your room now. What kind of narcissism is that? The older cat was there first and your roommate warned you that he didn't like other cats. Instead of having any conversation, you just brought home a kitten and now expect an elderly cat to be confined to one room for the rest of his life? You are most indeed the idiots here. That cat deserves to live out his life in peace. And if you want to keep your kitten, you better go find somewhere else to live. Your roommate has every right to be angry and you're out of line. Also, you're an idiot for not properly introducing the kitten to another cat and vice versa, which could be a large part of the problem. And the spontaneous adoption, they sound so immature. The older cat is not mean just because it doesn't like to be picked up or petted by you. It's a pet with its own preferences. Which is completely normal. You're not a good pet owner. His name is Banana Pudding. It sounds like you wanted a cuddly toy because it's cute. Both cats are living beings with emotions and territory. This place is their home, which you've turned into a place of stress and danger for both of them. Oh, and when Banana Pudding loses an eye, you have no one to blame but yourself since you put that poor kitten in that situation. Same with the elderly cat. It deserves to roam too. Update. My roommate and I have talked. I apologized to her for being selfish and ignorant and for putting her cat in an uncomfortable situation. She forgave me and said she'd be happy to help do a proper introduction between the kitties. She said that if we do things slowly and carefully, her cat might be able to accept Banana Pudding. For now, our kitten will be staying in our room for the introduction process. She also taught me a little about cat body language and guys, her cat came and sat in my lap. She even purred. My roommate is a very kind and forgiving person and I'm very thankful that she chose to forgive me after I was such a huge idiot to her. I think things are going to work out. Thanks everyone for your advice and criticism. My boyfriend, 33, and I, 29, female, have been living together for the last year and a half, together for 2.5. A few months ago, my boyfriend had his blood pressure measured and it came back ever so slightly high. He's a very healthy weight for his height, tall and thin, but muscly from work as a diesel mechanic. But high blood pressure is no joke, so he decided to try to clean up his diet a little. I do 90% of the cooking at home. By choice, he does dishes and vacuums, so this isn't an issue. And I genuinely cook on the healthier side. I'm only 5 feet 3 inches and slim and athletic, so I focus a lot on healthy proteins. So we eat a lot of proteins and veggies and I like to play around with different sauces and things to make it interesting. I feel like the meals I make set a strong foundation for an overall healthy lifestyle. My boyfriend loves my cooking and always brags to his friends about what we eat. Suddenly, my boyfriend decided he doesn't want to eat salt in the things we eat at home at all. I can't work with that. We've never used salt excessively in our diet, so asking me to cut a healthy amount from our meals just seems ridiculous. I do too much cardio and strength training and don't want to have a sodium deficiency because my boyfriend suddenly decided we can't have salt in breakfast or dinner, meals we eat together. I brought that up to him and he suggested salting my food separately, which, fine, but we all know it doesn't taste the same. Cooking our food in separate pots or for me to supplement in other ways, like Gatorade. This is where the issue comes in. I would be perfectly happy to make these accommodations if I felt like it would actually help, but he's constantly snacking on high-sodium snacks, like chips and pretzels and frozen egg rolls, and I just feel like it's unfair to ask me to change how I salt our food, before working on cutting out some of his unhealthy eating choices. He's gotten to the point where he feels disrespected if I cook for both of us and use salt, and he'll refuse to eat or do the dishes if I tell him I've salted the food. I think he's being a baby and refusing to stop salting our food. We're at an impasse. So, am I the idiot? I feel like the salt content in our food is not going to be the change he needs to reduce his sodium content, because he's snacking around 6 to 8 times a day. Not the idiot. Pretzels? Come on, man. It's a little salt block. A delicious salt block, but still. The high sodium snacks are the issue, not your cooking. My dad developed high cholesterol when I was a kid and was told to cut out red meat. So, the whole family cut out what little red meat we were eating. Lo and behold, we discovered that Dad's just eating red meat for lunch at work instead. So, that was the ends of the whole family making the change, because why should we, when he won't help himself? Pretty sure an actual salt lick has less sodium than frozen egg rolls. He just needs to cut the junk food first. A woman in my family went through this. She changed the meals for the whole household and started packing the guy lunches that fit with the dietary recommendations. Went to a lot of effort and expense, getting all their food in line with the doctor's orders. No one was happy about it, but it was necessary for this guy's health. One day she went out to his car to get something and noticed a bad odor. So, she opened the trunk and discovered he'd been dumping his lunch bags in there every day. When confronted, he confessed he's been going out and eating lunch and would have a big satisfying meal, so he didn't have to eat much of the healthy food at dinner either. Basically, it sounds like your boyfriend is saying that he wants to put all the work for this on you instead of him. Make him cook his own dinners. He's eating salty snacks and complaining about your cooking. He can take care of himself. When he cuts out the healthy snacks, you'll resume cooking with compromise. I, 23 female, went shopping a few days ago and my fiancé wasn't supposed to be there, but he kept insisting we had things to talk about, so we showed up. When I was going to pay for my items, he gave me his card and told me that he would take care of it from now on and I shouldn't spend my dad's money anymore. Things are rocky between my fiancé and dad, which is why I think he said it, but the entire thing rubbed me the wrong way. I pushed his hand away and told him I didn't need him to pay for my things, but he ignored me and paid anyway. I was mad, so I asked him what he was doing and told him to stop being an idiot. He told me I was welcome and to stop making a scene. I kept bringing it up and telling him he was being an idiot, so now he's annoyed at me and saying things like I need to get used to not living under my dad's thumb anymore. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Hate to break it to you, but your fiancé thinks of you as a possession, not a person. He wants to ensure that you know you belong to him, not your father. If you don't like that feeling, try paying for your own things occasionally. I encourage you to seek financial independence. Are you sure you want to be engaged to a guy who needs to be right and in charge, to the point that his power plays steamroll right over you? I find it disturbing that he said he would take care of it from now on. Does he expect you to be totally financially dependent on him and unable to take care of yourself so you can never leave? Is he trying to isolate you from your family? Red flags. Yeah, your fiancé sounds overbearing and controlling. Why is he insisting on joining you when you said you wanted to shop alone? And heads up, financial control and abuse are a real thing. Make sure you are financially secure in your own relationship, so you aren't relying on him or your dad. Good luck. And that, dear listeners, is how a simple wedding request led to an unforgettable family confrontation. If you were intrigued by this tale and want to hear more stories of family conflicts and resolutions, be sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Have you ever experienced a family drama that took you by surprise? Until next time, remember, the bonds of family are strong, but communication and understanding are key to keeping. Welcome back to the channel, dear viewers. Tonight, we delve into a tale that uncovers deep family grief, accusations of betrayal, and a looming legal battle. The story is titled "My In-Laws Accused Me of Betraying My Late Husband and Threatened Legal Action Over a Family Heirloom." Join me as we unravel the events that turned cherished memories into a source of conflict and heartbreak. So, sit back, relax, and let's dive into this intense story. I, female 33, lost my husband very unexpectedly 7 years ago. We knew each other from a very young age and married when we graduated college. I've known his family for almost my entire life, and they're the closest I have to actual family. My own family situation has always been problematic. I became very close with his parents in particular. I will still call them my in-laws, and we supported each other heavily through the grief process. We didn't have children before he passed, but we were trying. I began slowly dating again 4 years ago, mostly casual dates and nothing serious. In-laws were broadly supportive. I told them I was ready to date and they said okay, but didn't want to know the details. As a result, I only ever spoke about my dating life vaguely and infrequently to them. Around the same time, I got a big promotion and began to spend a couple of months a year in Paris for work, global issue permitting. Then 1 year ago, I met Armand, male 38, and started my first serious relationship since being widowed. Given Armand lives in Paris, our relationship is based there. While we have traveled quite a lot together, we have yet to go to the US together. He hasn't met my in-laws, but I have told them I'm dating someone. Around Christmas, we found out I was pregnant. This was a total surprise as we weren't trying. We've since decided that I'll move to France permanently instead of splitting my time between the US and France so we can raise a family together. Unfortunately, it isn't really possible for Armand to move to the US. He works in the art industry and his studio and backers are all Europe-based. I told my in-laws and they were deeply upset. They said I was depriving them of their only opportunity to have a grandchild. My husband was an only child. Then they accused me of moving on too quickly and not loving my husband. In the end, we had a huge argument and they demanded that I leave all my husband's belongings from our apartment, his clothes, personal effects, etc. to them when I moved to Paris. They also demanded my engagement ring, which is a family heirloom. They said that they should have these because while I've moved on, he'll never stop being their son. I said no. These things are all treasured memories from my life with him and I never want to forget. They have threatened legal action to recover the ring in particular. I don't think they have a proper legal right, but I can see the hurt I'm causing them with my choices, and maybe by giving them what they asked for, they'll be able to have closure. Am I the idiot for continuing to refuse? Then they accused me of moving on too quickly and I stopped reading right there. So, he passed away 7 years ago and they say she's moving too fast. What happened to OP and the in-laws is horribly unfair and tragic, but after 7 years, OP deserves to find love again. The in-laws really should see a therapist to address this. You are not the idiot. You didn't divorce your husband. He passed away. The person you chose to spend your life with, and that was taken away from you way too soon. Unfortunately, he was taken from them too soon as well. I would try to find a compromise, which may be giving them the ring and you keeping the rest, or finding a few things of sentimental value and giving them those, but ultimately this was your husband. These are your memories with him and you'll never stop loving him just because you found someone else to love as well. You are the idiot. The ring should absolutely be going back to the family though. No matter how you feel about it being given to you, the heirloom is meant to be passed on to a future generation family member at some point, which again isn't possible in this case because you two never had a child together. You're moving on and your family's now with another bloodline family. The heirloom ring is not meant to be with that family at any point. I'm sorry, but this is a very bad take. OP's a widow. Widows do not lose their place in a family. The ring will go where she sees fit because she's the rightful owner. OP, it's your choice one way or another. However, I wondered how you having a baby with your new partner is depriving them of a grandchild. Totally bemused by that. If they want to be considered your child's grandparents, the last thing they should be doing is making petty demands. Update. After the funeral, I already gave many of my husband's possessions to my in-laws. What I kept were some clothes that reminded me of happy times. Things with his handwriting on them. Memories from trips, etc. And I want to keep those. It's not like I'll be lugging a huge amount of things to Paris. It's not unreasonable that I keep these. They're memories we made, not with his parents. It was worth clarifying that I don't have a separate wedding band. We couldn't find one we liked which matched the ring. So my engagement ring is also my wedding band, which my husband put on my finger in the church. I do wear the ring frequently, and it's the only thing I wear with any regularity. I really don't want to lose the relationship with my in-laws. They've always been so kind to me before all of this happened. For example, I've been spending every major holiday, like Christmas, etc., with them for the past decade. But neither do I want to bend to their unreasonable behavior. Moving to France and going completely silent isn't an option. I do want to repair the relationship in the long term. Ultimately, I'd love them to visit us. My 25 male stepdad has a gardening business. It's normally just him, but my brother 18 has been a big help and worked for him a lot over the years. The clients love my brother. He has a good work ethic and gets the job done properly and quickly. On the other hand, my stepbrother, 29, has worked for our stepdad a handful of times. Unfortunately, every time his work was sloppy and slow, and he spent the majority of his time on the phone, so stepdad never hired him again. Recently, stepdad has been sick. His body's just giving out on him, and our mom's forcing him to retire before he kills himself from work. He wants to give the business over to my brother since he has the work ethic and the rapport with the clients like him. My brother is basically our stepdad's mini-me, lol. My sister, stepsisters, and I are all okay with this since we feel our brother deserves it with the work he's put in and how he's helped build up the business. Our stepbrother, on the other hand, is angry and thinks he should get it since he's the biological child. I know I keep saying stepdad here, but that's just for clarity's sake, and he's very much our father and couldn't care less about biology. When our stepbrother was having his little fit about it, I told him to get over it and that he couldn't even hold a normal job, let alone run a business. Am I the idiot? Edit. The relationship is strained since stepbrother used to steal from him and us. He barely even sees any of us now, and that's not from our lack of trying. I don't even think he's met my stepsister's young son. Not the idiot. It might have been harsh the words you gave your stepbro, but honestly, that's the reality of the situation. It's dad's choice who he gives his business to, and he chose your brother, who would take care of it very well and is the person most likely to carry on the legacy. Would your stepbrother have been just as angry if your father had sold it to a stranger? He had nearly 10 years on your brother to build the rapport with your dad and his clients needed for this responsibility. This failure's on him. He saw your stepdad's hard work as something he could benefit from by slacking and doing none of the work going forward. I'm glad your stepdad and your siblings have a backbone. Your stepbrother's just looking to mooch, and that's it. Please ensure your dad gets all this in writing and certified by his wife and an attorney. If something unexpected happens to dad, the whole situation can become a crap show and fast. Get it in writing now so that the business, including the client list and physical assets, mowers, trucks, tools, all go to brother. You owe your stepbrother nothing, and if he keeps harassing you, feel free to block him. Backstory. My mother-in-law lived 4 hours from our city. Last year, she decided to sell her house and move near the family. She recently closed on another house here as her house was under contract. My wife stayed home overseeing some work on the new house and painting. My daughter, a first grader, and I went to my mother-in-law's house to get her moved out. My mother-in-law is the type of lady that exalts males on a glorified pedestal. Over the years, she's made numerous inappropriate remarks about my body build or my appearance. She's even gone as far as asking very personal questions. Nonetheless, her mouth has gotten her in significant trouble. With that said, when we arrived, she seemed to have been minding her manners at first. However, she commented to my daughter that when she gets older, she should marry a man just like her father. Later that night, we had an argument. My kid didn't eat dinner because she had a stomachache. My mother-in-law demanded she helps clean the kitchen and said I should be relaxing instead. My argument was, why should she have to clean up from dinner when she didn't even eat? The next morning, my daughter slept in a bit, which irritated my mother-in-law. She commented that my wife is lazy. That's where her granddaughter gets it from. It made me angry considering all the work my wife has been doing to her new house. An hour later, my daughter got out of bed. I was outside when my mother-in-law was putting socks on my kid and said, "Don't ever get fat like your mother." I didn't know about that comment until the next day. As they were packing boxes, I overheard my mother-in-law telling my daughter that her mother never wanted her. For the record, that's not true. My mother-in-law was hounding my wife to end the pregnancy because she said my wife would blow up even bigger and that having kids ruins lives. My child was upset and hurt. My instinct was to get her away from that environment. We got lunch and I took her to the beach to distract her mind. We talked it over and I promised her what her grandmother had said was not true. I called my wife and she and I spoke for a while. While they were on the phone, the comment about not getting fat like your mother was brought to my attention. We went back to the house and I gathered our belongings and we left. Outside sat several pieces of furniture in a few large boxes. My mother-in-law tried hiring movers after we left, but none were available. Overnight it rained, which ruined everything. My brother-in-law called me an idiot for letting her furniture get ruined and also claimed that it was elder abuse. A week later I received a handwritten bill requesting $4,000 for the ruined furniture. My mother-in-law wrote how saddened she was to realize my wife had brainwashed and demasculized me. The move occurred on the 1st of the year and yesterday I received an additional handwritten letter stating that I'll be sued if I don't pay for the damages. Yes, Your Honor. I'm suing my son-in-law for damages. He left because I intentionally inflicted emotional trauma on his daughter. No, he wasn't being paid for this work. No, he was under no contractual obligation to complete the job. No, I made no efforts to cover my own items with tarps, garbage bags, etc. when I realized it was raining. Yeah, I don't see that playing out really well for her in court. Let her sue you and waste her own time and resources. She has nothing supporting her claim. That's wild. Your mother-in-law is a narcissist. Politely let her know you will deduct it from what she owes from your wife and daughter's past and future therapy bills to deal with the trauma she created by being awful. Not the idiot, and I hope your entire family goes no contact with this cruel and toxic woman. Sadly, I think it's going to get worse. I agree that no contact would be ideal, but knowing mother-in-law's moving closer makes me think that won't be the case, at least not right away. OP's wife is likely far too used to her mother's mistreatment, which makes it harder to build the boundaries necessary. If she does try to take a stand, you know her mom will use moving closer as a guilt trip and manipulation tactic. I, 22 female, will graduate from nursing school next June. I've started looking for jobs and I've been thinking I could try being a particular nurse, those that you hire to take care of a patient in their own home or if they need medical care 24/7. I prefer that for now as I got very anxious during my practices in hospitals. There are many patients and it's a very stressful situation if you don't have much experience. I plan to work as a domestic nurse for half a year and then try again to do work in a clinic or hospital after gaining experience. Well, I have a brother who's a young teen. He has autism and he's disabled from his waist down. My parents asked me if I'd be willing to work for them taking care of my brother. I said it was okay for me. A patient is a patient. Then they asked me how much the family discount was to consider hiring me. I told them they'll have to pay me full price if they wanted me to nurse my brother. There's no such thing as a family discount. They got angry. They told me I was doing this for them and for my brother and that there's stuff more important than money. What I'm asking is not unreasonable after all. I have to take my brother to therapy, shower him, clean him up, feed him, give him his medication, etc. All the same stuff I'd have to do with any other patient. I think I'm asking for fair pay that's consistent with how much work I'll do. I'll charge £25 per hour, which is the average where I live. I don't think I'm being too unreasonable. They told me there's stuff more important than money. Like what? Gems? They're welcome to pay you in those too. Of course, since money's so unimportant, your parents should have no problem giving that worthless cash to you. LOL. I hate parents that try to take advantage of a child's success for their gain. You are not the idiot, but I really don't think you should start your professional career by working for your seemingly entitled parents. 1. You need the real-world experience of interacting with new people. You might think of doing this through a care company. 2. You'll need a valid reference when you get ready to return to a hospital or clinical situation. Working for your parents is different. 3. You need to start earning for yourself so that if you do or say anything they don't like, they can't hold your wages over your head. Family and business do not mix. OP. Excellent advice. I also foresee hours being an issue with this situation. OP is scheduled from 8 to 5, but her parents expect her to stay later or come in early because it's family and family helps out. Also, I hate to think it, but I can't help but wonder if OP's parents would sabotage a reference to keep them from progressing in their career so they have to keep working for their family. Your parents are tired of taking care of your brother and want you to start doing it so it's not their responsibility anymore. They should want you to start your professional and independent life well, which means watching you get a full-time job or agreeing to pay you full price for your services. To be honest, I think £25 an hour is way too low for this kind of care you want to provide. This would be the family discount. They're asking you to set up a recipe for resentment and you don't have to play that game. So this happened yesterday. I came home from work in the evening and saw something cooking on the stove. I asked my boyfriend and he said he was boiling salmon. I was taken aback, like completely. I asked him to repeat what he said and he so casually said it again. I was like, EW, who boils salmon? He made a face and didn't reply. I told him it wasn't right and that I never heard of salmon being boiled like an egg and water type of boiling. He said it was all right and he liked it cooked that way. I called him dumb for this, to which he reacted by snapping and saying, "Who the heck says I can't boil salmon?" I said, common sense." He replied, "Screw common sense. I bet it's no longer common sense to eat an apple from an apple tree in this time and age." We had an argument and he started ignoring me, saying he felt hurt and disrespected when I called him dumb. He's now waiting for an apology. Am I the idiot? I called my boyfriend dumb because he likes his food cooked differently than I do. I actively sought him out, insulted him based on something that had zero impact on me, and demanded he fights back, and now he feels disrespected. I think he should apologize. Oh wow, you are the idiot. A massive one at that. This. OP sitting here like, what idiot boils salmon while high-class restaurants are off poaching salmon and charging top dollar for it? OP is acting like a spoiled toddler who's only been raised on chicken nuggets. Poaching/boiling salmon is very much a thing. It's funny you're getting all bent out of shape and upset when you're the one who called him dumb. Oh, Gordon Ramsay, he didn't even ask you to eat it. He cooked it for himself. He likes it and it's cooked, so food safety is not an issue either. Mind your own business. OP, don't call people names, especially people you love. He feels hurt and disrespected because you use disrespectful language while criticizing his perfectly acceptable choice. You owe him an apology and to change your behavior. And that, dear viewers, is how an attempt to move forward led to an unexpected and painful family rift. If you were captivated by this tale and want to hear more stories of family conflicts and unexpected revelations, be sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Share your thoughts and similar experiences in the comments below. Have you ever faced a situation where your past collided with your future in such a dramatic way? Until next time, remember, the ties that bind us can also be the ones that test. Hello, everyone. Today, I have a story that is as heart-wrenching as it is shocking. It's about the complex dynamics of family relationships and the unexpected choices people make. This is: my mother called my son unmanly for kissing his boyfriend, so I kicked her out. Get ready for a tale that will keep you on the edge of your seat as we dive into the intricacies of love, acceptance, and standing up for what is right. So, sit back, relax, and let's dive into this captivating story. My mom is a conservative woman. The apple fell far from the tree with me. My mom and I, male 40, already have a rocky relationship because of my religious beliefs. I'm agnostic. My mom is the type of person to try and trap you in her beliefs. Well, despite all that, she's divorcing my dad and going through the divorce right now, and she left the house. She came to my doorstep the other day while my son was at school, asking me to stay. I wanted to say no, but against my better judgment, I let her. I don't think I should have let her in the first place. She would only stay with me for the night to see her family in another state. My son is bi and has a boyfriend. His boyfriend usually comes over after school. They study here, and it simply didn't cross my mind that he'd be coming over. He ended up coming home with his boyfriend. He's aware of my mother's beliefs. I was stuck, trying to avoid an argument. I just said that they'd be studying together and left it at that. Well, I guess when he was leaving, they kissed, and my mom saw it, came to me fuming, asking if I knew about these sins going on under my roof. I reminded her that those aren't sins under this roof, and it's my house. We went back and forth. The argument consisted of her saying that this was way too far. He's only a teenager, and these phases shouldn't be supported, and me just saying to zip it and act like an adult about this and not traumatize a child or don't let the door hit you on the way out. It wasn't until she decided to go to my son impulsively in the middle of my argument, telling him he was unmanly and emasculating himself, acting like a woman. She said that he needs to stop trying to use women's people for themselves. No clue what that meant, and that he looks like a fool spreading the image that he's some feminine male. She tried saying he was going to the bad place, but I walked her out of his room. I told her to get her stuff and find a new place to stay. She argued that she was just saying it like it was. It's a sin. I said that if she focuses on sins, focus on hers with divorcing her husband, and we went back and forth for over 30 minutes of me trying to get her out of my house. Finally fed up, I grabbed her bags, put all her stuff in them, tossed them outside, and told her to get out. Or I'll get more extreme with this. I called my sister to come pick her up. She was waiting for 15 minutes. Mac's mom made it a point to tell the whole family, and they told me that doing that was an idiot move because they made her uncomfortable because we knew her beliefs. I don't think that's right at all. Their reasoning is a no in my opinion, but solely for what I did. Am I the idiot? I feel my only dumb move was letting her in, not the idiot. She claims to be a Christian, but skipped the verses about not judging or loving one another. Your responsibility was to your son, and you took the action necessary to protect him and make sure he knew that you would. Your mother sounds horribly toxic, unfortunately, like a great many people. I'm glad your son is raised by a parent like you and not her. This story has a hypocritical choosing beggar idiot, and it's not you. She disrespected your rules in your house, even while you were doing her a favor. She couldn't zip it for 24 hours. Even if she disapproved, she could have gone to her room and shut up until the morning, or left of her own accord. She chose to die on the hill. Think of it this way, at least now it'll be much easier to go no contact after this, and your extended family told on themselves. Grandma sucks. Get a rainbow flag for the front porch. Maybe it'll work like garlic on vampires, and she'll stay away. I'm 29 male, currently planning a wedding, and we're getting into the nitty-gritty details. For background, my parents got divorced when I was 5. The divorce happened after my dad fell in love with his current wife, my stepmom, Alice. They claimed they didn't cheat, but waited to be separated before anything physical happened. I don't know or need to know whether that's true. My dad and Alice got married, and we were living together by the time I was 7. They had my 2 siblings within the next 4 years. My parents had split custody, and Alice was 100% a mother figure to me. We're very close, and she's been there for me in every tough moment. She also helped pay for my college and grad school, which I greatly appreciate. My mom is a good mom, but we've never been as close as I am with my dad and Alice. Our personalities are very different. We're planning the first dances right now, and have my first dance with my fiancé, and she has hers picked out with her dad. Her parents are still married, so there's no drama there. But being so close to Alice, I really don't feel right excluding her and only dancing with my mom. So I asked her if she'd be comfortable doing one with me as well. She was overjoyed and cried with emotion. I'm really excited about it, but once my mom found out, she flipped out, said I'm replacing her as my dad had replaced her. I told her it's not a replacement, but she's been so supportive of me my entire life, and I consider her a true bonus mother, so I don't want to exclude her. But she doesn't want to accept that. So yesterday, my aunt, mom's sister, called me and ripped me a new one. I know it's a little controversial, but in my heart, it's what I really want to do. Am I the idiot for going through with this and having 2 mother-son dances? Personally, I've been to a few weddings with steps involved where there were 2 mother-son or father-daughter dances, and it seemed really sweet, not like overkill. I will do the shortened versions of the songs, so it won't be too long if that matters. Not the idiot. Alice has been in your life since you were 5. So basically, most major formative years and events, she's been extremely supportive, helped you get through school, and has been a true mother figure in your life, and you want to share this big event with both of your moms. If your mom doesn't want to share that time with Alice, no one can force her. But she also can't force you to snub a woman who's always been there for you from such a young age, because she's still hurt by something that happened decades ago. Yes, and I know it's not for me to judge people holding grudges, but OP said they divorced when he was 5. He's now 29, and his dad and Alice are still together. It might sting, but it's also reality. OP's mom must come to terms with the reality of the situation, and now her son has replaced her. This woman stepped into her life and took her child. Their relationship is arguably closer. Wouldn't you have a problem with that? OP, when you're saying your vows to your wife, staring into her eyes, and telling her how much she means to you, I want you to picture your future family. Now imagine your wife having intimacy with some other dude, and your wife unrepentantly says, well, screw you, you're not good enough, and she leaves. So all you have left in the world is your child. And now you're looking your mom in the eye and saying, yeah, of course, she's just better than you. Dude, just wow. Your lack of empathy for your mom is staggering. My point is that don't be surprised if your mom doesn't attend the wedding. Don't be surprised if you never talk to your mom again. Dude, your mom's life was burned to the ground, and now you're hugging and dancing with the woman who lit the match in front of a crowd. Man, I just can't fathom hating my mom that much, but you do, you idiot. I agree. If Alice was a good person, she would manage some empathy for the woman who's OP's actual mom. She could say, honey, that is such an honor to be asked, but I don't want to hurt your mom. And as a mother myself, I know just how hurtful it would be. You should share that special mom dance with just her. OP, this woman broke your family and then warmed her way into your heart with money, and you're saying it puts her on the same level as your real mother? Wow. I, female 29, own my own apartment. It was inherited, and I know I'm extremely lucky. However, to be able to keep the apartment, I rent out a room. We share a kitchen, a living room, and a bathroom, and have separate bedrooms. When my current roommate, female 26, signed the contract, I reviewed it with her. Mostly standard stuff, but one section is added that no cats or babies. Children are allowed. Cats because I'm highly allergic, and children because I don't want to live with a child. Children visiting is fine. We have an agreement that any long-term visitors will need to be cleared by the other person. Breaking those rules will lead to eviction. We get along great. We're quite similar in our habits. She always pays her rent on time, and there is no food stealing. After about a year, she calls me into the bathroom one day. Standing in front of the mirror in a foreign-fitting stretchy dress, she looks at her stomach. She asks me if I think the dress still fits her. I could see her stomach was bigger, but I sometimes look like that in the evening, so I assumed she was bloated. I brush it off and say she looks fine. We should normalize being bloated at the end of the day. She gives me a weird look before she says she's not bloated. She's 3 months pregnant. Yep, that's how she decided to tell me. Anyway, I'm kind of taken aback as it came out of the blue. She's never mentioned it before or wanting a kid or a boyfriend. Found out the pregnancy was from a one-night stand. After probably looking like an idiot for a few seconds, I calmly congratulated her. Not with a lot of enthusiasm per se, as I really don't get excited about the idea of pregnancy and babies, and this really was a surprise. But I was polite enough after an awkward silence before I made up an excuse to have to go study. A few weeks go by and we kind of just go back to normal. While making dinner one evening, I ask her if she's found a new place to stay. She's really confused and asks what I mean. I reminded her of the contract she signed that says no babies can live here. I tell her that she can stay up until the baby comes, but it's wise to look for a new place soon. I don't know if she assumed she'd be able to continue to stay here with the baby, but I guess so. A few days later, I started getting texts from her friends calling me an idiot for kicking out a pregnant woman on the street. She has like 5 months to find a new place, and I charge a pretty average rent for the room, so it's not like she can't afford other places with roommates. I completely understand why I might seem like an idiot to some, but I genuinely think I'm in the right here. Why should I ignore my boundaries and comfort because my roommate decided to have a baby when she knew from the beginning it's a deal breaker to live here? Anyway, I guess I'm here to get a wider perspective on this. Not the idiot. It's your apartment and she signed a contract. Getting knocked up does not automatically qualify you for exceptions. You haven't kicked her out. You've told her she needs to find a new living situation. She has months to find a new place, and all those friends calling and texting you can offer up their home for her to stay. Did she think you would help raise this baby and just forget about the contract? When was she going to tell you? LOL. If she thinks she's going to do this all by herself, maybe she doesn't understand what's about to happen here, because it's hard for me to imagine how you wouldn't get pulled into helping all the time, or at the very least, being very inconvenienced and looking like a jerk when you tell you won't help out when she's exhausted and sleep deprived. So, I completely understand why you'd want to keep the boundary. Exactly. She did agree to the contract. No babies means no babies. You were never the kind of besties that you'd put up with someone else's baby, and you gave her 5 months' notice as well. Her financial situation is not yours to solve, and it's much kinder to be firm about this now than when she comes home from the hospital and finds her stuff on the curb. My wife and I have been married for a decade. She's a stay-at-home wife and we have no children. She has a daughter from a previous relationship, Sarah, and we've gotten along for the most part. Sarah's a junior in college pursuing a biology degree with additional courses required by medical schools. She's dreamed of being a doctor and helping people since her mom and I met. The problem is, she could be a better student. She's failed her biology 1 class and had to retake it to get a B. She really struggled in her next level biology class and finished with a C. She also got a C in her chemistry class. She got a B in Calculus 1 and 2. She's making A's in her non-science and non-math classes, so they're padding her GPA, which is at a 3.2. This semester, I just learned that she'd make B's and C's in her science and math classes. I'm not a doctor, and I don't know any doctors, but I did online research. I discovered that medical schools require many things, but at the top of the list is a high GPA and top grades in science and math classes. Unfortunately, with Sarah's grades, she's not getting into any medical school. I even looked into nursing school to see if I could talk her into going that route, and all the ones I looked at require higher grades than she has. I talked with my wife about it, and she said that medical schools look at other things besides grades, and that's where Sarah excels. She has a solid volunteer resume, and she cares about people. I argue none of that mattered if her grades weren't good enough. She argues that Sarah will do great in the interviews. As I said, I have no experience with medical school, so I can't argue with her logic. Instead, I talked with Sarah when she came home for Thanksgiving and told her to look into another major because she might not be cut out to be a doctor. She ran to her mom, and we all got into a huge argument. I lost my temper and yelled that I'm not wasting any more money on something she'll fail in. I told them both I'm not paying for next semester's classes unless she changes her major to something more realistic. I feel bad, I do, but I'm not rich, and I don't have money to waste if she doesn't have a chance to get into medical school. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Medical schools are very competitive, and everyone has a minimum GPA requirement. If her GPA is below that, they'll automatically reject her without the chance of an interview. Sometimes being a good parent is putting a stop to the madness and saying no, even though it's hard. I would go and speak with some professors and guidance counselors about this and see what they say, then have her go with you before any decision is made about her future. Is she aware of the work that goes into being a doctor? What would it be like? Can she do some work at a hospital and see how hard it is? See if nursing is best for her? You are the idiot. It's your money, but to tell your stepdaughter out of nowhere that you cut the money isn't nice. Give her 1 semester to achieve better grades and prove herself, then she'd know what she had to do and what was on the line. I'm a successful engineer. Do you know what I had to calculus 1 and 3? Do you know what I never used since school? Any of my college classes. While a different career path, classes don't correlate to real-world experiences. Next time you go to your doctor's office, please ask your doctor about the last time they used calculus 1 or 2 in treating a patient. You are the idiot. It's not wasteful just because she doesn't have a 4.0. I've usually gotten along with all my son's teachers until now. A couple of weeks ago, I was talking to a single mom from my son's 3rd grade class and she was complaining about how hard it is to be a single mom. Then she said, "You single dads have it so much easier than single moms." The stuff she was complaining about seemed more about her being lazy, and it's not like her kid's dad isn't as involved as she is. I, on the other hand, am raising a preschooler and a young child solo. There's no child support, no one to take them off my hands, etc. I can't tell you how helpful it is when both have an after-school play date with other kids. Parents take little stuff like that for granted. In response, I told the single mom, "It's not that I have it easier, it's that I have my act together." She was offended by my remark, but it's true. Yesterday, I was speaking to my son's teacher. She's someone I wouldn't get along with, so I don't try to deal with her unless I must deal with her. She asked me if I thought it was helpful to tell other parents that they were lazy. I asked her if she was helpful with her grammar and spelling errors in her class emails. She asked, "What errors?" I said, "I'll send her some examples because I want it to be helpful." So I did, and she hasn't responded. Personally, she should be paying more attention to her emails and less to providing commentary on discussions that she wasn't a part of. Not the idiot. Parents can't run to their child's teacher because of another adult. Also, if she took that as you told her she's lazy, then that's on her. She obviously knows it's true and got offended by it. Also, no reason for a teacher to mingle with parental stuff that has nothing to do with the child or education. I'd be petty too if she didn't have correct grammar teaching my child. Everyone's the idiot here. Look, I get it must be infuriating to have your parenting undermined by someone else, but take a breath and seek out the high road every so often. The mom was venting. Some people do a crappy job blowing off steam and bring other people down with them. Don't be like them. And while the teacher is way out of line to get involved with this scenario, your petty response was an unnecessary escalation. And there you have it, a journey through the emotional turmoil of family expectations and personal boundaries. If this story resonated with you or left you wanting more, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and ring the notification bell to stay updated with our latest stories. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Have you ever faced a difficult choice about family and personal values? Until next time, remember, standing up for yourself and your loved ones can sometimes be the hardest, yet most important. Welcome back, everyone! Today, we have a story that will truly test the boundaries of family loyalty and support. Imagine struggling to conceive a child for years, only to have your heart shattered repeatedly. Now, picture being invited to a dinner intended to cheer you up, only to be blindsided by the very news that brings you pain. This is the story of a couple's heart-wrenching experience, titled, "My Mother Invited Us to Dinner to Support My Wife After Her Miscarriage but Shocked Us with Her Pregnancy Announcement." Let's dive into this emotional roller coaster. I'm 28 male, happily married to my wife, Sarah, 31. We've been together for over 6 years and married for 3 years. My mother, Laura, 45, had me pretty early on. She always wanted a big family and has been with my dad since they were teens. After she had me, she decided to be a stay-at-home mother and in the space of 10 years, had 7 kids. So, I have loads of siblings. She's recently announced that I'm to become a brother again. Sarah and I have been struggling to conceive for the past 3 years. We really would like to have a kid together and consider looking for other options, but my family talked us out of it, saying we shouldn't trust our child with some unknown woman. I have suggested my mother or my sister carry for us if they're that worried, but both of them declined, saying that they can't have any more children and won't be able to carry. My sister has 5 kids. And just to note, I love Sarah regardless if we have a child or not, and I'm willing to adopt, but she really wants us to have our own. Sarah and I have tried a lot of options, and recently, unfortunately, she had another loss, and this was really upsetting and depressing for both of us. So, I've shown my support, and my mother, who knew about our struggles in recent news, invited us out to dinner at her house yesterday to support and cheer Sarah up. Sarah wanted to attend as she has a very good relationship with my mother. My entire family was there, and the dinner was going well. Sarah congratulated my mother on her pregnancy, and I thought that would be it. Then my sister announced that she was pregnant again, and basically, she and my mother ended up having the baby talk really loudly, where my sister was excited to have another brother, and my mother wanted to have another grandchild. That was too much for Sarah, and she got up and left in tears, and I followed her shortly after. She had to cut off her family because they kept telling her she was not a woman for not being able to have children and was too old, and this got to her too much. After we got home, my mother called me and said Sarah behaves very rudely, and she was expecting an apology as it has ruined the dinner to celebrate life. I got angry and told her that she was completely out of line and inconsiderate for having the baby talk with my sister when she knew Sarah had another loss, and her life celebration dinner made things a lot worse for both Sarah and me. I've also said that we would not have come if she had told us what the dinner was about. In the end, I was called an idiot for not appreciating another life being born. Am I the idiot? Edit. To point out, my mother has told Sarah and me that the dinner was to support her after the loss. In no way or form did she mention this being about the celebration of life, pregnancy announcement, fertility lottery, and babies. We wouldn't have come if that was the case, and we were aware of it. Not the idiot, but let me get this straight. They have shot down options that you and your wife have considered. Firstly, they declined to carry for you because neither could have more children. Then they both spend the dinner allegedly planning to help consult your wife after a loss, loudly yapping about their pregnancies, the ones they claimed they couldn't have. Your mom and sister aren't the massive idiots here, and I say keep them out of any future family planning discussions entirely. I'm still shocked that OP will have a brother who's 29 years his junior. Or am I reading that wrong? Did they intentionally get knocked up to show off their functioning reproductive systems or something? Mommy, why did you and Daddy have so many kids? Well, dear, you and your brother are spite babies. Yeah, tell me you hate my wife without telling me you hate my wife vibes. OP, do you see a pattern here? This did not happen by accident. They manipulated you out of pursuing other options and lied in the worst possible way to manipulate you both to show up for dinner. They knew how much it would hurt. It wasn't a bug. It was a feature. Your mother and sister are annoyingly sabotaging your wife and your happiness. I would say OP's mother and sister very likely feel superior to OP's wife since she cannot carry a pregnancy. However, these women are quite clearly able to get pregnant easily, and for many women being so fertile makes them feel superior as a woman. That's beyond cruel, and I cannot see how they have any respect for life when they behave this way. I'm so glad you supported your wife. It's so heartbreaking to hear that she had to deal with this because she received zero support from her own family. I, teen male, have been in family therapy with my dad, his wife, her daughter, tween, and my half-siblings, kindergarten female, young male child. My dad married his wife when I was 9, and 15 months after my mom died, they met at a support group for people who had lost someone. Dad lost mom, and his wife had lost both her parents, close together, who were the people who helped her raise her daughter since the bio dad wasn't in the picture. Pretty quickly, her daughter started calling my dad, Dad. My dad's wife told me repeatedly in the first year that I could call her mom. She'd like it if I did. She'd love for me to call her daughter my sister instead of saying stepsister. She told me my mom would want me to have another mom, and that she'd want that for her daughter. So how about we drop the steps? We love each other like mom and son because that's what we legally are now. I said no. My dad told me I should give it a chance, that a mama's boy would do much better with another mom. It became pretty clear to them over the years that I was not into that idea. I used the half for my half-siblings once they were born. I never dropped the step, and I never called his wife mom, not even slipping up in a conversation or with other people. This all bothered them. So 17 months ago, they decided we should all go to family therapy and help smooth out all the creases, which to them is the step and half titles. The therapist and I have talked a lot over the months, just the two of us. She's pretty cool and knows what they want isn't going to happen. My dad and his wife started saying they wanted help for us to be the perfect family, and the therapist will always use the language, let's find your family's version of perfect, whatever that may be, which I think makes sense because I know for me, this will never be my perfect family. I also know they will never get the image they have in their heads. 3 weeks ago, we had a session with a fill-in therapist because our usual one is sick. During therapy, my stepsister felt really bad that I said stepsister after someone said I should take a photo with my sister. She also said she hates that I don't love her and she really felt it that day. Then her mom started talking about the perfect family thing. The therapist was not in control and had no idea what he was doing. I started getting mad because my dad and his wife were repeating the whole perfect family thing over and over again. I ended up saying we will never be the perfect family and I'll never see them as my ideal family, that I wouldn't even choose for them to be my family. It became a huge fight and I got grounded for 2 weeks for saying it. My dad told me he was tired of me not trying to make this family work and he told me I was out of line for saying what I did. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. I'm so sorry that you lost your mother first and foremost. Secondly, your dad is a major idiot for trying to force you to feel a certain way about his new spouse and kids. And thirdly, he's a super turd for punishing you for what you expressed in therapy. This is something to discuss with your regular therapist next time because someone needs to straighten that man out. Reach out to your mom's family, particularly your grandparents. Let them know you were restricted from contacting them, but you're now old enough to do so on your own. Call, text, and video chat regularly. Build a relationship. Try to arrange a visit and outing. See if you get on with cousins your age. So sorry for your loss. You're not being unreasonable. Your father lacks empathy. He's decided not to face his grief but rush into another relationship. His anger at you is because you remind him of his failing to support you as a father and to deal with his grief properly. Your stepmother is an insecure idiot. My male teen, mom 39, remarried John, 44. He has 2 daughters, Kayla, a young teen, and Janice, a teen. They remarried about 4 years ago, and John's parents hate us. They don't like the fact that John remarried and hate me especially. But I think of John as my dad and Kayla and Janice as my sisters. So it was Kayla's birthday a few days ago, and her grandparents, who adore her, wanted to have a surprise party for her but keep it between family only. So when I heard of it, I was excited and helped with the cake, etc. On the day, everyone was getting ready, and it was going fine until John's parents asked, "What are my mom and him doing here? They're intruding on the party." They then told me I wasn't technically part of their side of the family and that they were clear enough to say it was a family-only party. I was upset and argued back, and during all the chaos, the surprise aspect of the party kind of fell through. And basically, Kayla came back to see everyone fighting. John's parents told me I ruined the party, and they brought Caleb plus Janice and John back to their place instead to celebrate. I think what they did was unreasonable, but I also think I may be the idiot because family dynamics are complicated. I may have blown everything out of proportion. Holy cow, not the idiot. Also, it's hard to determine if John or John's parents are the bigger idiots. I lean slightly toward John for not standing up for the woman he married and saying this is my family, like it or love it. Everything is wrong here except you, my dude. Stand your ground for you and your mom. So they were making a surprise party at your parents' place and expected you and your mother to leave during that time? That's just so much BS, especially since they didn't seem to have any problem with you helping them set everything up. Screw them. They are the idiots. They said family only, and you and your mother are now family whether they like it or not. What were you two expected to do, leave your home for a few hours and not attend a party happening there? That's unacceptable on their part, and I can't believe your stepfather went along with it. I mean, he is a 44-year-old man and left with them. That is the most concerning part about this to me. You're a young teen. This is not a situation you should have been put in to begin with. I'm finding it hard to understand why more people are not identifying John as the giant idiot. I mean, sure, the grandparents are awful, that's a given. But John saw this go down and then left his wife and stepchild to party with his real family? Really? That's an actual idiot move. I, 38 male, have 2 daughters, Nora and Lily, teens, from my former marriage. I got married to my current wife, who has a daughter, Jenna, a teen. Jenna has a disability. She's in a wheelchair. Before I met her mom, her life was pretty much inside the house. She was homeschooled up until I got her in a private school, but she still struggles with socializing due to growing up so isolated. My wife didn't want to, but I pushed for Jenna to get therapy, which I hoped would help her with her relationship with Nora and Lily. But the kids took their time to get to know her. So, yes, they did exclude her from activities. But I had several sit-downs with them in hopes of getting them to understand that Jenna is a normal girl and has so much in common with them, so they shouldn't feel like she's difficult just because of her disability. I thought things were getting better. But days ago, and while we were at a beach resort for 4 days, Jenna stayed with us while the girls kept going out. On our second day, I saw the girls getting ready to get ice cream. I asked Jenna if she wanted to join them, and she said yes. So, I asked them to take her with them, and they were unsure at first, but then took her. An hour later, my wife came to me saying that Jenna called her, saying the girls left her near one of the benches and told her to wait 5 minutes till they got ice cream, but didn't come back. So, we went there immediately and found Jenna sitting alone while the girls were eating ice cream and hanging out at a different location. I got so mad at them, especially after they admitted to leaving her there. I told them vacation was over for them and had them pack their stuff and take them home. Both were crying and pleading in the car while my wife and Jenna waited at the resort. I dropped the girls off and had my mom stay with them. Then I returned and resumed the vacation. Both girls and their mom were all over me about this, and their mom went on a rant about me favoring my stepdaughter over my biological ones and being a doormat for my wife. The girls were upset, but I explained why I did what I did. Their mom defended them, saying that I shouldn't force them to care for their stepsister and expect them to be her maids and stop their life for her. It got to my former in-laws, who blamed me for ruining the much-awaited vacation for the girls and acting irrationally. I questioned whether I messed up and went too far with my reaction. All I wanted was for them to be upfront and honest and not abandon her the way they did. Everyone's the idiot here. Are you sure this is because Jenna has a disability? Or is it because she's the stepsister? You can read so many stories about people being forced to be friends with the stepsiblings and how badly that went. Yes, leaving her there alone was bad. And yes, you should have punished them for it. But it would help if you weren't also forcing them to be friends. Let them make a relationship at their own pace. Also, she's not just a stepsister, but also a much younger stepsister. No teen wants to hang out with a kid and play babysitter. I think OP needs to be clear that any punishment, and I believe there should be one, isn't because they don't like their stepsister. It's because they endangered her well-being. Yeah, I'm not condoning their actions, far from it. But I have to wonder, when you did these sit-downs, were you only thinking about Jenna's feelings? Or did you consider your daughter's feelings too? Because there are two sides to every story. I wonder how they feel about this. Given that they've continually tried to exclude Jenna, avoid bonding with her, and he keeps insisting they do, I would put good money on him only looking at this from her perspective, to be honest. Most step-parents realize at some point that you can't create a bond if all kids aren't ready or willing. OP's also pushing them to be his wife's stepchildren. And his wife has treated those kids a fraction as poorly as her own child by keeping her housebound, isolated, and socially undeveloped. No wonder they're acting up. Like, sure, the first impulse here is to be shocked that the kids would do a mean thing to another kid for another hour. But stop and think about the underlying conditions for a second, and you get the sense that there's something really wrong with the adults here. Exactly this. And your point about the OP's wife keeping her child isolated, housebound, and socially undeveloped is spot on. This woman was a bad parent to her child. Maybe it's good that OP's children are not around OP's new wife. And while he might be a superhero to his stepchild, he's becoming the father who'll be shocked his adult kids had no contact. I, 45, female, have 2 kids. Twins, male and female. And my husband, 47, has 2 daughters, 18 and teen. My husband is very strict with his daughters. Less with his oldest, obviously. And I think he sees my kids as his, too. He's strict with them. And my kids don't mind much since he's their only father figure. And he has a good relationship with them. He's very protective over all the kids. I had a doctor's appointment yesterday. And my husband spent most of the day with his daughter at his parents' house. So I left my kids home and told them I'd be back later. My doctor took longer than expected. And by the time I was on my way back, when my husband had called me, I didn't answer since I was driving. And when I got back, he was really mad and told me that I was an irresponsible parent for leaving the kids home alone. He said they were still young and couldn't care for themselves. I said they're tweens, not 6 and 5. He was even angrier that I talked back to him and told me I should have gotten a neighbor to watch the kids. I said again that the kids were old enough to be alone and they were perfectly capable of taking care of themselves for a few hours. My husband said he had had enough and told me that from now on, I have to stay home if he's not home before he went upstairs. It took me a while to cool down. I was really mad. But later, I wondered if he was right since my kids could have still gotten into trouble. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot for leaving your kids alone if you as their parent felt they were mature enough to handle it. They're not babies anymore. But holy smokes, the rest of your story throws red flags regarding your husband. Angry at you for talking back? Telling you when you are and are not allowed to leave the house? Huh? Is this typical in your relationship? Also, if he knew she was going to the doctor, why didn't he stay home with the children or take them with him? It almost seems like he intentionally wasn't around so OP would have to stay home with her kids rather than see her doctor. The husband extends his strict rules for the kids to his wife. I only see this getting worse if OP doesn't do something to nip this in the bud quick. If she can't, she'll have some hard decisions. OP is not your parent and has no right to order you to do anything. He has no right to get angry at talking back. You're a grown adult having a conversation about a disagreement, not a petulant toddler. How condescending. Thank you for joining us on this emotional journey. If this story touched you, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more powerful and thought-provoking stories. Hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. And if you have a story of your own that you'd like to share, drop it in the comments or send it to us. We'd love to feature it in a future video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you. Welcome back to the channel, dear viewers. Tonight, we explore a tale of marital discord and familial expectations that has left one woman questioning everything. The story is titled My Husband Demanded I Become a Stay-at-Home Mom, and now we're on the brink of divorce. Join me as we uncover the events that turned a joyous expectation of a new family member into a battleground of values and identity. So, sit back, relax, and let's dive into this heart-wrenching story. Okay, I already know it sounds bad, but I, 35 female, and my husband, Jeff, 37, are currently expecting a boy, his first child, my second. I got pregnant with my first when I was 18, and his dad was never in the picture. I work as a substance abuse counselor, and I love my job. However, this is where it gets tricky. My job offered me 8 weeks of PTO for when I have our son. I was so happy because I didn't want to return to work right away. Jeff and I got together when I turned 30, and he moved in with me because I own my house. We just got married this year and have talked about childcare multiple times, so he knows I don't want to be a stay-at-home mom. Well, I'm due in November, and he just brought this idea up. I was baffled because we've already talked about this, but I guess my mother-in-law and sister-in-law believe I should stay home with our son as a mother and a wife. I just don't understand where their opinions come in because I already know where they stand. Both stayed home with the kids. All 3 of them sat me down to have this talk, and they wanted me to focus on the kids, cleaning up the house, making dinner, and all of that. But I already work and do those things. Well, mother-in-law decided to throw it in my face that I never got to be a stay-at-home mom because I was a single mom going to school and working, which she's not wrong, but it made me angry that she brought it up. I told them that I work so hard to give my son a good life, and having another baby doesn't change my decision to keep doing something I love, and that if they all want someone to take care of the house and kids all day, Jeff should be a stay-at-home dad because I make more money than him, and it would make more sense for him to stay home instead of me. It turned horrible after that. I got yelled at by mother-in-law and sister-in-law that it's not his role as a father to do those things, and that he's the man of the house and should be the one making money. Jeff just stood there not saying anything, and I blew up and reminded all of them that it was my house, not his. I kicked mother-in-law and sister-in-law out, and Jeff was so mad at me that he went with them. He said he won't come back till I apologize to all 3 of them. So, am I the idiot for not wanting to be a stay-at-home mom? Nope, not the idiot. OP, you make more, it's your house, your in-laws are dinosaurs, and your husband just proved that he doesn't have your back. Bonus, here's your to-do list for tomorrow. 1. Change locks. Number 2, make an appointment to see a family lawyer about custody, parenting time, and child support in your jurisdiction. 3. Research them on the internet in the meantime. 4. Resolve that none of those 3 people gets back in the door unless they provide you with a fulsome, sincere apology. Sorry about the marriage, OP. I hope it was fun while it lasted. The thought of my husband bringing my sister-in-law and mother-in-law into my house to tell me what to do with my life, especially after discussing exactly what I want, makes my blood boil. I'm so sorry you had to go through that. Please reevaluate your relationship with Jeff and whether or not his value systems are compatible with yours. Do you want your son to be taught this drivel about how he needs to grow up to be the man of the house? Do you want the rest of your life to be cooking, cleaning, and taking care of the children for Jeff? Because presumably, he won't lift a finger to help you, because that's not his job. Because that's what's going to happen if you stay with this man and let him and his family treat you like this. Please be compassionate to yourself and your children and realize that you deserve far better. My vote is for the husband set up mother-in-law and sister-in-law to deliver this message. And he didn't do it with the goodness in his heart of having the baby have a stay-at-home mom. He did it so OP would take care of him like his mom used to. Flags, flags everywhere. Update. It's currently 1:15 a.m. and Jeff just called me. He informed me that he cleared out our joint bank account and deposited it into his account. Bill money, savings for future trips, and grocery money that he's been thinking. And the only way he'll come home is if he can be responsible for all the finances. And I put his name on the house too. I said absolutely not and hung up. I've already reached out to my boss and I'll be working from home via virtual meetings. I'll be calling and talking to attorneys tomorrow morning to see what my options are. I didn't let Jeff know I'd be home, so I'm sure he'll try to stop me. Where I live, real estate developers have started snatching up family homes, bulldozing them, and building enormous $2 million houses on plots of land. Unfortunately, the houses also stick out horribly in terms of aesthetics. Think single-level brick homes with three-level gigantic white and black boxes in the middle. My home's been in the family for several generations. We've always been known for having a large, beautiful garden. We invited over kids to help with gardening. We gave away so many veggies. We'd hold parties, etc. It's been a neighborhood treasure for years. Until developers snatched up the lot next door, bulldozed it, and erected an enormous house that blocked the light to most of the garden. Many of us tried to fight it with the city, but everything was denied. It was heartbreaking. Our neighborhood has been changed forever. This was a link to my family, and I almost have had to go through a grieving process for it. The new owners moved in and were not welcomed warmly by the people in the neighborhood. I avoided them for as long as possible. Other than politely waving or nodding, it was a young couple in their early 20s. We finally came face to face, and the woman asked if we could chat. She said she felt like maybe they'd done something wrong when they moved in, or if they weren't pulling in their trash bins or something, being too loud, etc., because people haven't been friendly. The guy says that he's surprised, considering it felt like a nice and somewhat affluent neighborhood. And given the price, he was expecting friendly neighbors. I asked if they had done any research about the area. They said that they moved from California, so no. I said that maybe that was their mistake. They said they didn't know what I meant, so I asked if they've ever looked in our backyard. They said yes, and they said they thought the garden was cute. I said yes. The garden that now has about half the sunlight than before your house was built was a neighborhood treasure. So the guy said, well, it's not our fault you built the garden there, is it? I said, well, you guys got what you paid for, $2 million for a house that everyone in the neighborhood hates. So I said I hoped it was worth it and wished them a nice day. When I told another neighbor about the exchange, she told me that she felt bad for them moving without knowing what they were getting into. Am I the idiot for telling them they got what they paid for? So you unloaded your pent-up anger at the developers on the couple who unwittingly bought the house. You are the idiot, OP. That couple did nothing wrong. They bought a house on the market. Now, if they had been the ones to buy the house or land from the previous owner, bulldoze it down, and then build their $1 million mansion, you might have a leg to stand on. But from what you say, the neighborhood is taking out their frustration and anger on an innocent couple. Yeah, but I do get why he'd be angry if instead of, oh, we're sorry, we didn't know about your garden, they decided to go with, it's not our fault you built your garden there. When it comes to this kind of mega home, I agree, but I also think places need to change. This is why most grad students live in someone's attic. Many old communities completely boycott any affordable housing, even as the population doubles or more. Mega homes for the rich don't help either, but I dislike the people who want their neighborhoods to stay the same forever, just as much. OP, they bought a house. Did you research the neighborhood? Is your garden a big thing so well known it's in the papers that those people could know about it without talking with the neighbors before moving in? And specific talks. And even then, they didn't design the house, just bought it. It's not their fault, and you are being angry at them as if it is. Also, if the size of your neighbor's house affects how you act, you might want to seek therapy. You take the cake today due to treating people like crap because they apparently stole your sunlight, and you're big mad about it. These people likely had no idea about your garden or what was there before the house they bought was there. It's not their fault that the house was built there. You want to be mad? Be mad at the real estate developers. That's the actual bad guy here, not the people who bought the house. I can't believe this became a conflict. With the weather being so nice, I decided it'd be nice to have a fun little dinner party. So, I invited everyone and their SOs if they had them. One of the SOs is Rick. I've always gotten along with him just fine, but he's one of those guys who tries to make the most bizarre things into his entire personality. The biggest one is that he's a huge garlic guy. He's one of those guys who makes a huge deal out of how he uses 400 cloves of garlic in a dish. I don't eat garlic. I have GERD, gastroesophageal reflux disease, from purging. And unfortunately, my biggest triggers are alcohol and garlic. I'm okay with cooked onions. For some reason, in the past 2 years, my sensitivity to garlic has actually gotten worse. So, I didn't use garlic in the dishes I made. Not a huge deal, right? I have a pantry full of other spices, and I'm not shy about using them. We were eating and I got some compliments on the food. It wasn't anything special, but Rick said he liked it, but felt the food was missing something, and asked how much garlic I used. I said I don't eat garlic, so I didn't include it. He scoffed and was like, how can you not use the most basic ingredients in most meals? That's why it tastes like this. He made a big exaggerated face and put the food down. He then asked why I'd have a dinner party if I had such a limited palate, and that he wouldn't have people over for Thanksgiving dinner if he was a vegetarian. I said, I have GERD, dude. Garlic triggers it. He pointed out that I was drinking alcohol. I said yes, I was in fact drinking one hard seltzer that I had flattened, and that these are the only alcoholic beverages I can drink, and that I also had one just in case my body changes its mind. He and I went back and forth until his girlfriend, the one who actually is my friend, told him to chill. Rick got louder and was laughing like, come on guys, am I really the idiot here? With his hands out. One of the other guys said it was a little weird, but not a big deal. Anyway, it's a month later, and Rick still won't drop it. Instead, he insists that it was an idiot and selfish hosting move to drink the alcohol, but not cook with the garlic, because garlic goes in everything. So, now I'm curious, and thought this would be a fun low-stakes question for you all. Am I the idiot? Why are you friends with this monumental idiot anyway? Someone whose entire personality seems to be about one tiny thing? Who thinks he's the food police? I'm a very keen cook, and garlic is inappropriate for many, many, many dishes. Not the idiot, of course. I'm also curious, doesn't he stink 24/7? OP should still invite him, but serve him garlic. Only garlic, several whole roasted garlic bulbs, and nothing else. Is that enough garlic for you now, Rick? And make sure you get a vampire costume for Halloween, for his benefit. Rick needs to get his garlic addiction under control. It's affecting his relationships at this point. If my ex so acted that way, not simply expressing a preference for garlic, but telling the host it was rude to omit it, I would be mortified. No joke. Possible grounds for breaking up, because who behaves that way? Not the idiot, open and shut case. My best friend and I have known each other since we were like 3, and we've always been super close. She's the first of us to get married, and I'm so happy for her, and was happy to be asked to be her maid of honor. However, she and I were not expecting her fiancé to consider my ex a close friend now that he's his groomsman. We knew that they kept in touch after I broke up with him, but we had no idea they were friends. What's even worse is that my ex is using this as a way to try and force his way back into my life. She warned me when she found out, and I agreed to one night out with all 6 of us, my best friend, her fiancé, and their bridesmaids and groomsmen. I was paired with her fiancé's brother, the best man, and my ex with her sister, a bridesmaid, but he would not stick around her sister at all. He kept coming over to me. He tried to get me to take him back, and he joked that we should just go and hook up. He touched me a few times, and I had to brush him off. He was just intense. Our breakup happened a little over 2 years ago. We worked together for 5 years, lived together, had talked about marriage and babies, and then I heard him mock me to his friends and say disgusting stuff like I was so boring as a person, but at least my body was good so he could drown out the rest of me and just focus on my looks. He mocked me for being sensitive. He also mocked that I had low self-esteem from my childhood relating to my family and told them details only he and my best friend knew. My best friend asked her fiancé if there wasn't anyone else. He told her that the 2 of them got so much closer in the last 2 years and that he truly considers him his closest friend now and so on. He said we should be able to deal with being around each other for a few hours. She asked if there was anything she could do to make it easier, but I can't be around him like that. I can't even have him following me around and trying to win me back. He humiliated me. He said things that I never would have expected out of him. He got 5 years of my life and he treated me like that. We agreed that I should just pull out of the wedding. My best friend is so upset and she's upset with her fiancé. He's now angry with me and he told me I should have sucked it up for my best friend and followed through on being her maid of honor because it meant so much to her. He told me I was being petty and I should be able to ignore my ex for the sake of my best friend. I do feel bad. I hate doing this, but I know I'd feel trapped in a nightmare if I had to deal with my ex throughout the wedding. There's no doubt in my mind that I would be miserable. She knows this too, which is why we agreed, but I hate doing this to her. I always dreamed of being her wedding. And now, am I the idiot? Not the idiot. The groom prioritizes his friend over his bride's happiness and he's trying to get you to suck it up. He could have chatted with your ex and told him. His behavior was unacceptable and if he tried to get close to you, he'd be dropped. But he preferred pressuring you so he could have what he wanted. I'd tell your friend that her fiancé is trying to pressure you as that would be a red flag to me. Not wanting to be touched and harassed by a creepy ex-boyfriend isn't being petty. What the heck is wrong with this guy? Also, you did ignore your ex, but it didn't stop him from harassing and touching you against your will. And ignoring your no. What else was he expecting you to do? Also, does he want drama at his wedding? I hope your friend realizes who she's about to marry. Yeah, I think you need to step away entirely. And if the ex is continuing to harass you, look into a restraining order. Good luck to the bride. Her fiancé sounds like a real charmer too, being that he knows the history and still allows this. I, 20 female, am currently 30 weeks along. I live with my parents and pay rent, utilities, and other essentials. Ever since I found out I'm pregnant, there's been a lot of tension in the house. And it feels like my parents' marriage is getting worse because of me. When I first found out I was pregnant, my dad flipped his lid because I wasn't married and because I didn't know who the father was. My mom defended me for most of his crap throughout my pregnancy and was very supportive but very disappointed in my dad for his behavior and it's been ruining their marriage. Last week, my dad demanded I move out, and I refused since I paid rent and mom doesn't want me to move out. As usual, mom defended me, but they had a big fight. I'm feeling like an idiot since I'm ruining my parents' marriage over this when I could move out, but I don't know where to go and need my mom's support. Am I the idiot? You are the idiot. You're an adult. If you want to have a baby, that's fine, but there's no reason to expect anyone else to support your child. Babies are loud and disruptive. Your father's done raising his kids, so why do you expect him to start over to raise yours? Not the idiot. You are not ruining your parents' marriage. Your dad is. Your mom is finding out your dad's beliefs around unwed or single mothers. You getting pregnant and having a child has not ruined your parents' marriage. However, your dad's behavior is. I'm really glad your mom is being so supportive, and I hope this situation resolves in whatever way it needs to. You have to prioritize your well-being and the well-being of the baby. Your dad's behavior affects your emotional well-being and your unborn babies. However, he feels it's not important as you and this child, but I'm pretty sure you have some clue about the baby's dad. You might have to pay for some paternity tests, but you need to find out who it is and make them contribute. Don't let him off the hook. I don't know if you want to know who the father is, but your child has the right to know and to be financially supported. And that, dear viewers, is how a deeply rooted disagreement led to a rift in what seemed like a stable marriage. If you were captivated by this tale and want to hear more stories of family conflicts and unexpected revelations, be sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Share your thoughts and similar experiences in the comments below. Have you ever faced a situation where family expectations clashed with your personal values? Until next time, remember, staying true to yourself is crucial in any relationship.